Hi, welcome to the Resources Roadhouse. I'm Wally Graham. I'm with Allan Kelly, who's Managing Director of Riversgold, who just released some more gold announcements from their Far Jones project in Western Australia. Allan, just a little bit more of a top-up at Far Jones there. What's going on?
Yeah, it's probably our flagship project at the moment. We think there's an opportunity for a sort of new deposit to be discovered there. Basically, over the last probably 9 months or so, we've done a couple of RC programs, made high-grade discovery at Far Jones. With drill hits up to 3 metres at 18 grams, effectively. We then extended a soil program to the north of that and made new discoveries at prospects that we call Eels and Little, where we got air core hits that were in the original 4 metre composites, so they were going up to sort of a gram over 4 metres. So we did some resplits and fire assay analysis of those, and we're getting results from sort of 1 gram up to about 6 grams now in those hits. So I guess what we see is we've got about a 2.5 kilometre long trend of mineralisation that we've identified in air core and RC drilling. So far at the moment it's very wide spaced and it's also very shallow, but we see the potential there to actually define 2 or 3 deposits with further drilling. And then I guess the real exciting thing is that outside of that 2.5 kilometre long trend, there's more historic soil anomalies from the 1990s, both to the north and south, and there's also some historic RAB drilling a bit further north at a place called Ella that hasn't been followed up either. So if you take that all sort of combined strike length, you've got about 7 kilometres of strike length with only the barest minimum of drilling that's been done. So where we've done the RC drilling, we've got good grades over a few drill sections, and it just needs work to actually start sort of even filling that and going deeper as well to work out what's there.
Right, and I noticed a bit of a trend there, the naming of the different prospects you've got.
Yeah.
Does that sort of signal a bit of confidence that there's going to be quite a few prospects out there? You're going to be able to fill them up with different Australian rugby players?
I hope so. So there's a bit of a legacy issue there. When we picked up the project, the historic work was done in the sort of late 80s, early 90s, and obviously the geologist at the time was a bit of a rugby tragic. So they named all the soil anomalies after the Wallabies team at the time. So there's Campese and Liner and a few others like that. Far Jones was the one that we sort of looked at straight away. And then since then, the new ones that we've discovered, Eels, Little and Horan, we've just sort of followed that trend. So I don't know how many Wallaby players there have been, but there's probably a couple of hundred of them. So we've got a few to go.
At least they picked them from a golden age of the Wallabies.
Yeah, well that's right. Yeah. The other main project in WA is Queen Lepage, and that's a really big project. So Queen Lepage is on the same geological trend as Far Jones, but about 50 kilometres to the north. And the thing that's different about that is under Lake Indalguda, big salt lake. And it's the same geology that we see at Far Jones. We've got about 17 kilometres of that same geological package, but it hadn't ever been explored properly at all. So there was some drilling on the lake, on islands within the lake, done in the late 90s, early 2000s. Shallow air core drilling, and there were good hits there, hundreds of ppb over sort of 4 to 6 metres, some holes finished in mineralisation. So it was a bit of a process to get out on the lake. Had to do some heritage stuff with the traditional owners and stuff. So we went through all that permitting process, went out, did our first drilling program, which only finished about a week ago. It was air core drilling, 800 by 200 metre spacing with a special lake rig, massive wide tracks to get out on the lake. We did about 156 holes, and we've got about half the results of that so far. And our best result there's 13 metres at 0.6 grams, including 4 metres a gram and a half, and that ended in mineralisation. At the scale that we're drilling, at 800 by 200 metre spacing, anything over about 50 ppb is pretty interesting. So we've got a number of results that are 10 times that. And what we've seen so far, we've got a number of these sort of anomalies, coherent anomalies across 2 or 3 lines of drilling that are at least 2.5 kilometres long. And if you sort of join them all together, it's about 10 kilometres of mineralisation. And in addition to that, off the southern end of the lake, there's another 5 kilometre long zone of that same geology that's never had a single drill hole. So if you pick that up and drop that over St Ives, it would cover about 8 million ounces. Just for scale, right? So this is a very big target. We want to get out there again and now infill that air core drilling, and it's going to take a couple of rounds of air core drilling to get to the point where we've got RC drill targets, but we're getting very good encouragement from there straight away. So the 2 key projects in WA are Far Jones and Queen Lepage, and they're both within that sort of Randall Fault trend. That's our main focus at the moment.
Okay. Well, that sounds pretty encouraging. Like, I mean, you're obviously, you look as though you're in the right area, and you're seeing what you want to see so far, which, is, as you said, was encouraging. So to get you back out there and do the infill.
So I guess that's a really important point. Like the company strategy, where we're gold explorers, all that stuff's early stage, and there's really two parts to the company strategy. There's the high risk, high reward stuff in Alaska, which we can talk about a bit more, but that has a short field season and it's helicopter supported and everything, right? And then you balance that up with the sort of, I guess, the bread and butter Eastern Goldfield story that you can get out to 12 months a year, good access. The target size doesn't need to be as big because you've got mills nearby, you've got processing infrastructure, you've got mines nearby. So, we are in a great spot in the Eastern Goldfields there, and unbelievably, it hasn't had a lot of systematic work for 20 years, and it's just amazing. You go out to some of these places like Far Jones, and people have drilled holes that ended in mineralisation in 1992, and they've never been back. That's amazing.
Hey, don't you listen to all the people who say, oh, there's no more gold discoveries to be made in WA and all that sort of stuff? They're the ones that's what we've been told over the last few years. But there's guys like you, going out there and proving that all wrong.
I don't believe that. I've been in exploration 25 years, and exploration is such a fickle game. You've got to have so many things that coincide at the right time. The right company, the right budget, the right gold price, the right exploration geo on the ground, the right manager, the right projects. You can't take anything for granted. So when you see something like Far Jones and you go, okay, there's these results. Is there anything I'm missing here? Has there anyone been here afterwards? You satisfy yourself that the results are the results, and then you just follow it up. Because you can't second guess what they were doing at the time. You have no idea what was going on.
So over in Alaska, just quickly, what's happening over there?
Yeah, so I've been working in Alaska sort of off and on for about 10 years. I first worked over there with Western Mining back in '97, and there's a geological province called the Tintina Belt, which runs from sort of northern British Columbia through the Yukon into Alaska, and it's a world-class gold province. It hosts conservatively about 100 million ounces of gold. Very big deposits. We've got some projects in the southwestern end of that belt. The nearest deposit to us is a thing called Donlin Creek, which is 45 million ounces. It's the biggest undeveloped gold deposit in the world at the moment. Right? And 100 kilometres south of us is Pebble, which is 100 million ounces. So there's some monsters in Alaska, right? And then you've got things like Pogo, which is about 8 million ounces. You've got Fort Knox and True North. So it's a very well-endowed area, and we're looking for deposits that are called intrusion-related gold deposits. And they're basically where you have black shales that are sort of marine sediments that have been intruded by granites, a specific type of granite, and you get this mineralisation that you see at places like Pogo and Donlin Creek. So we've got a 40-kilometre long zone of tenements along our structure called the North Fork Fault, and we've got 4 or 5 of these granites along this structure, and everywhere we've got one of these granites we've got high-grade mineralisation. At the northeastern end we've got a thing called Gemic, where we've got a 2-kilometre long zone of mineralisation running up to 100 grams per tonne. We found some new outcropping veins at a place called Midway Hill last year, 6, 7, 12 grams per tonne just sticking out of the ground. And then our main project called Quicksilver, we've got a whole series of these arsenopyrite veins sticking out of the ground on surface in a granite, and they average 8 grams per tonne. They go up to about 35 grams per tonne, and we've got one drill hole into it. So it's a humongous target. We are looking for a multi-million ounce intrusion-related gold deposit there. But it's the thing is there you only get about 3-month window. So the idea is you go hard for 3 months in Alaska, and then while you're getting results back in that, you're working on WA and working those projects together as well.
Exactly.
Yep.
Well, we look forward to hearing all that news, and we look forward to bringing that news to you on the Resources Roadhouse. Thanks, Alan.
Thanks, Wally.